It's about time I talked about this legendary game, LEGO Indiana Jones for the PS2. I played this for so many hours as a kid. This gem dropped in 2008 and was around the 20th LEGO game to have launched, 2 years after another popular one, LEGO Star Wars 2. Now this is the era of LEGO games where characters couldn't talk, they would just murmur, mumble, nod, show facial expressions to explain what's happening in a scene. And it made sense. As kids you could easily understand what was going on. This entry covered 3 of the Indy movies, Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Temple of Doom, and The Last Crusade, with each offering 6 missions showcasing different and iconic moments of the movies that created those "I gotcha" or "I understood that" reference moments.
I do. I understood that reference.
Raiders of the Lost Ark had the opening jungle scene, the idol swap, dart traps, the rolling boulder, the fight with the German mechanic at the airstrip, as well as the truck chase scene. The Temple of Doom had the nightclub intro with the poison drink, literal chaos, the minecart chase, the Kali Temple, and the bridge fight scene. And The Last Crusade had the boat chase in Venice, the motorcycle chase with Henry Sr., as well as the infamous tank battle. So all in all, there were plenty of scenes that had immediate throwbacks to the movies, but of course there were a few missions that not so much deviated away from the main story, but they were just there as placeholder, filler missions until they could showcase another level that displays content from the actual movies. Graphically speaking, it didn't look as good as the PS3/360 counterpart. The missions were exactly the same though, it's just the mini gameplay trailer that appears at the start when you're idle too long is stripped straight from the other consoles. You can clearly see the gap in detail between these 2 generations, although as a kid that wasn't my main concern. I was curious to understand why the game didn't look like that for me, since I wasn't instantly aware this was footage from a different console. They do that with most PS2 games, I think. Marketing, I guess. Now given the premise of LEGO games, they are designed to accommodate a second character for every mission, even for scenes where Indy is alone. So they end up inserting supporting characters or generic companions to ensure it holds the 2-player potential, like Satipo, the guy that accompanies you on your first mission. He actually fits in well because he turned out to be a traitor to Indy, which led to him getting chased out of there. So if you have a vivid memory of the movies, at first you may be like, who is this guy, what's this random character doing here, but it made sense to keep that co-op function active, and this ties in well with the unique abilities each character possesses. From a story perspective, Indy is the only one who possesses a whip and has quite a few uses, swinging across gaps, pulling levers or latches down like ladders for traversal, or for disarming and taking out enemies in a short humorous animation. Although I never understood this rotisserie chicken move when you spin them around, as it left no effect on them afterwards. Wrenches used by characters like Jock help repair broken vehicles and machinery to help gain access to new areas. The shovel used by characters like Satipo allows you to dig up items to reveal buried objects or hidden items needed to build other LEGO objects, if that makes sense. And lastly, the Grail Diary possessed by characters such as Henry Sr. and Elsa allow you to translate ancient text and complete certain puzzles to reveal hidden areas or mechanisms like trapdoors. The characters themselves have traits or little perks that change how they behave in terms of movement. Female characters have a high jump, allowing them to reach taller ledges and unlock pathways. Shorter characters can crawl through hatches that lead to switches, and bigger characters have increased strength, allowing them to push large objects or break through walls. Some even had certain melee or ranged weapons tied to them: swords, pistols, rifles, 3-burst SMGs, and even dynamite and rocket launchers. I think one thing that was a bit unfair about this game was throughout the story you literally just get blitzed out of nowhere since you're outgunned most of the time. Playing as Indy and other characters, most weapons were short range besides the whip, so it's quite easy to get shot and blown to pieces by troublesome enemies. And whilst these weapons could be picked up after killing an enemy, they'd have limited ammo. Yet this rule can be overridden in free play, where you can create your character and give them any weapon you want, also granting them infinite ammo. Now bearing in mind, besides Indy's whip, all these items can be picked up during missions, especially if you don't have a dedicated character assisting you on that level. For certain obstacles that require digging, fixing, or whatever it may be, if a character with that item isn't available, they'll have the item ready for you nearby. You may just have to break a few things to find it. Fears were a thing too. Certain characters would be scared of spiders, snakes, etc., which encourage character switching to assist in getting past an obstacle. Certain parts of a level would encourage you to pick up disguises from enemies. It's as simple as wearing a hat to prove you're a commander of sorts to give you access to a new location. If you knock without wearing one, well... I think what I found clever was when loading a mission, instead of presenting you with a static loading screen, it would run like a red trail on the mission board that tracks you to your next adventure. A bit of a slow trail, so it does get old, but at least it's something interactive to take a brief look at whilst you wait. Now if you weren't playing co-op and playing by yourself, the AI would behave themselves most of the time. Puzzles that require 2 people to solve, you would get assistance very quickly. However, I think what annoyed me was the bots following you around wouldn't do much against enemies. They'd attack and at best stun them for a few moments, but never actually took them out. You were pretty much the only person that could dispose of the enemies completely. Kinda what I was going on earlier about getting swarmed by enemies with ranged weapons. It gets kinda tough when you're literally doing a 1v5. Out of all the LEGO games I played in this era, this is definitely the easiest one. To get from A to B in LEGO Indiana Jones, a lot of it is just breaking stuff, punching and smashing things until an item reveals itself. After that, all you gotta do is build it, repair it, or post it up somewhere and you're good to go. I love how the sound effects for destroying different materials and structures are all the same, it's just some loud explosion. The controls were insanely straightforward too. To complete a level, all you'd need is the left analog stick and 4 shape buttons. X, square, circle, triangle, that's it. In free play you could dust the cobwebs off the triggers to switch characters, but that's it really. They had auto aim here, which was a bit of a pain because you had to line your character up with a target whilst being jumped by multiple enemies, which is ironic because to make things easier to kids, auto aim lock was there for that. I guess they didn't want to make it too complicated, although it had me wishing for manual aim. It was too janky having to tap dance into position instead. I think LEGO Batman was the first to introduce manual aim where things got a little techie there. Now I think the same could be said for other games like LEGO Star Wars, LEGO Batman, but I felt those had more steps to it. Indiana Jones felt more like a straight path from A to B for most missions, whereas Batman and Star Wars felt like A to B to C, back to B, then C again. A bit of backtracking and whatnot. Still relatively easy to get through though. Nowadays the LEGO games we have today are a bit more complicated, require a bit more thought. I think I remember being stuck on a section for LEGO DC Supervillains for quite a while and ended up having to YouTube it. Tell a lie though, there was one mission in Indiana Jones that had me stuck as a kid and stuck as an adult now after replaying it. In Mission 6, the bridge battle for the Temple of Doom, when fighting Molar Ram, you couldn't actually damage him on a head-on fist fight like most other enemies. You'd actually have to quickly switch to another character only when he does this stun animation, which pretty much only happens 60% of the time. Because I hadn't played in over a decade, I'd forgotten that's what you had to do before YouTubing it, so I was just punching this guy for like 10 minutes. But yeah, aside from that, the missions were straightforward. So straightforward that you could even find most mini-kits or treasure chests as it were in the main story. I think usually when playing a story mission in a LEGO game, it's harder to come across mini-kits or chests since you don't have all available characters that meet the requirements to access said area. You know how in free play they'd give you at least 8 to 10 characters at random, but they'd all have a unique skill set to ensure you have the necessary abilities to reach all the collectibles throughout the mission. This is where custom characters would come in and all that jazz. You know, I was just rocking a suit and RPG to be honest. In Indiana Jones, you'd be surprised. I think in one level alone I managed to get 7 out of 10 chests playing as the story characters, so even without the additional ones you get in free play, the 2 or 3 characters you're granted per mission is enough to get most collectibles. And finding them all for each mission will unlock 3 unique special levels where you can do a mission as young Indy, as well as some timed events in these sandboxy type maps. I was never really sure about how to go about these. For one mission I just cheesed one single target to get my points up. The other was more of the same, but I felt there was more to it, I'm not sure. It was cool unlocking these missions for the first time though. I went full completionist on this. Barnet College is the main hub for the player, and this is where you'll return to access secret missions like the ones I mentioned. You can buy and unlock characters, even some from different games, mainly LEGO Star Wars. Han Solo's got a hell of a punch, I'll tell you that. I don't know why I thought C-3PO was a playable character, but he just gets a cameo appearance, I believe. You can go and activate cheats in one of these teacher rooms as well, watch back intros and outros for every level, and buy unique rewards from the post room. I think I'd unlocked and maxed everything out on my first save, so it started raining studs, but it caps at 4 billion when you have nothing left to buy. I heard in newer LEGO games there is still a cap of sorts, but the value of items scales based on how much you have, kinda like Borderlands, so you never really reach the cap, if that makes sense. You're always spending money. Or studs, I should say. But you know what they say, when you have everything you can't do anything, so I ended up replaying the game again on a new save, didn't get as far, just under halfway through, and this was years ago, so I probably got distracted by another game in the end, which is why I didn't finish it. But yeah, this game was a lot of fun, man. Probably my most favourite LEGO game of the early 2000s. I'm a bit biased as I believe it was my first LEGO game as well, even though LEGO Star Wars was released beforehand, I'm pretty sure I got this first. 2006, I was playing Disney Pixar Cars probably, that game was fire too. This was pure nostalgia for me. The game is not long in the slightest. As a kid, I felt like I was playing for dozens of hours, but if you already know the game, you can pretty much speedrun it in 2 or 3 hours. It's not long at all. Some missions can take as little as 6 or 7 minutes, nah I'm joking. 6, 7? Around 10, and given that there's 18 missions, that totals about 3 hours give or take. LEGO games nowadays have actual talking characters, open worlds, and lots more in-depth content to explore, especially with the new LEGO Batman coming out this year. That shit's gonna be hype. But I do miss the simpler LEGO games, I do miss the comedy style, no talking, just muttering to get points across, the hand gestures, pointing, sound effects that would make you laugh, you know, and of course playing co-op. The only downside was the screen was shared for those older games, so you couldn't go too far away from each other, otherwise it would rubber band you. Over time your screen would actually split off, allowing players to go anywhere without the restrictions of another player. But back then it didn't really matter much. I used to run these games with my cousin as kids and we already knew what to do, so the screen share was a minor hindrance. But yeah, that's all I've got to say about Indiana Jones. The nostalgia is high with this one as it got me into LEGO games as a kid. If hours were tracked for PS2 games, this would definitely be top 3 most played for sure. These games were always a birthday or Christmas present for me, so I spent a lot of time messing around with them. And when I eventually got a second controller, co-op with the family made things 10 times more fun. For those of you who played this as well, feeling nostalgic, how much do you remember from this game? I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been Dre, take care and see you next time.